The Labour Party, under Prime Minister Keir Starmer, assumed office in the UK following the 2024 general election, ushering in a new political landscape after 14 years. Their stated priorities, including public ownership, economic growth and environmental sustainability, have been put to the test in their first year. Here's a critique of their performance so far. Overall public perception and leadership. Mixed approval for Starmer and Labour. While Labour won a significant victory in 2024, public opinion on their performance and leadership has been somewhat mixed. Recent YouGov polls, June 2025, show Keir Starmer's net favourability rating at 34, an improvement from his lowest point of 46 in May 2025. However, this still indicates more unfavourable than favourable views. Similarly, the Labour Party's overall favourability stands at a net 130. Challenges in demonstrating progress. An Ipsos poll from May 2025 indicated that a large proportion of the public hasn't noticed much progress on the government's key milestones since the election. For instance, 7 in 10, 71%, reported little progress on raising living standards, and 70% on reducing energy bills. Alienation of some voter bases. While Labour has attempted to appeal to Reform UK voters, there's little evidence of success, with only 4% of Reform voters likely to consider voting Labour. There are also concerns that Labour's focus on attracting centrist voters might be alienating some of their traditional Labour, Liberal Democrat, and Green voters. Key policy areas and their performance. 1. Public ownership of key sectors, e.g., Great British Energy. Initiatives. The creation of Great British Energy, GB Energy, is a flagship policy aiming to establish a publicly owned clean energy company. Its goals are to reduce energy costs, create jobs, and enhance energy security by investing heavily in renewables like wind, solar, and hydropower. It seeks to achieve 100% clean power by 2030. Critique. While the concept of GB Energy is generally seen positively for its potential to lower energy costs by £35 billion by 2050 and accelerate decarbonisation, the actual implementation and scaling remain crucial. Experts emphasise the need for careful planning and community engagement. The success hinges on effective execution, given that massive investment, estimated £350,500 billion needed for electricity capacity expansion over the next decade, is required, and current renewables investment is hampered by red tape. The government has committed £8.3 billion in new money for GB Energy over this Parliament. Public perception. Despite the ambitions, public perception, as of May 2025, shows 56% believing the government is doing a bad job at cutting energy bills, indicating that the impact of GB Energy is yet to be widely felt by consumers. 2. Economic growth. Stated aim. Economic growth is a core priority for the Labour government. Critique. While the government boasts of the fastest-growing economy in the G7, public satisfaction with economic performance is low. YouGov data from late 2024 showed 71% of Britons believing the government was handling the wider economy poorly, and 68% disapproving of their handling of inflation. Even among Labour voters, negativity towards the government's economic performance has increased. This suggests that despite claims of growth, the benefits may not be reaching ordinary citizens or are being overshadowed by cost of living concerns. 3. Environmental sustainability. Commitment. The ambition to achieve 100% clean power by 2030 through GB Energy is a significant part of their environmental agenda. The government believes this will make Britain a clean energy superpower. Critique. While the targets are ambitious, the practical challenges of such a rapid energy transition are substantial, particularly concerning infrastructure, grid connections, and addressing existing regulatory hurdles that have slowed private sector investment in renewables. The focus on new technologies like floating offshore wind, tidal, and hydrogen generation is promising, but also carries inherent risks and development timelines. 4. Increased defense spending. Commitment. The government has committed to increasing defense spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027, with an ambition to reach 3% in the next parliament. This is touted as the biggest sustained increase since the Cold War. This increase is partly funded by reducing overseas development assistance, ODA, from 0.5% to 0.3% of GNI. Critique. This policy has generally been met with broad support across the political spectrum, with many agreeing on the necessity of increased defense spending in the current geopolitical climate. However, some criticisms have emerged regarding the source of funding, cuts to international aid, and the pace of rearmament, particularly concerning issues with domestic production and previous procurement problems, e.g. Ajax vehicles, Challenger 2 upgrades. There are calls for greater focus on domestic manufacture to create jobs and expertise within the UK. 5. Infrastructure and skills development. Initiatives. The government has published a 10-year infrastructure strategy promising $725 billion investment over the next decade across various sectors: transport, energy, health, housing, etc. They have also established the National Infrastructure and Service Transformation Authority, NISTA, to improve strategy and delivery. Critique. The strategy is generally welcomed as a meaningful attempt to address long-standing issues of underinvestment, short-termism, and planning bottlenecks in UK infrastructure. The creation of a new infrastructure pipeline aims to provide greater transparency and confidence for investors. However, challenges remain, including finalizing NISTA's operational details, ensuring effective implementation across government agencies, and addressing skill shortages in the construction industry. There are also concerns, particularly from London, that investment might not be evenly distributed, potentially overlooking crucial projects in the capital that could drive national growth. The link between expanding transit and driving economic growth is recognized, but concrete plans for shovel-ready projects in some areas are still awaited. In summary, the Labour government under Keir Starmer has laid out an ambitious agenda with clear priorities and launched significant initiatives like Great British Energy and a long-term infrastructure strategy. While some of these policies are conceptually well received, particularly the increased focus on clean energy and addressing infrastructure deficits, the first year has been characterized by challenges in demonstrating tangible progress to the public on key issues like the cost of living and energy bills. Public approval ratings, while showing some recent recovery, indicate a need for the government to translate its stated ambitions into noticeable improvements in people's daily lives and to maintain broad public support as it navigates complex economic and social challenges.